If you truly wanted to be efficient on this game, you would log out and you would try to get a PhD, something that pays really fucking well. Oh, wait, okay, well, there's two options you have. It's either log out and become a doctor, and then with all that money, wait until OSRS becomes a cash grab game and just you can buy collection log slots for money. Because by the time that happens, you'll be a fucking millionaire. Or the second option is drop everything you are doing currently, become a content creator, and then start pushing for random ideas to speed up the collection log. Those are the two most efficient options for completing this game. I think one of the most beautiful parts about clogging is that there's a basic understanding. Now, it's not confirmed or whatnot, but I have a strong conviction that nobody will ever complete the collection log. So, in a way, it's kind of a beautiful grind to go for, because you know there's not going to be like the end of it, you know? There is no end to it. But you can always have a higher number, you know what I mean? But nobody will ever complete it, so it's kind of like there's no race. If you are burnt from the game, there's no real race to... Yeah, I mean, if your deepest desire in life is to be the first person to complete the collection log, first of all, good fucking luck with that. But for most people, the game becomes a lot more enjoyable when you understand it's not completable. Because then you're not trying to, like, you have the option to not sacrifice real life or RS gains, because it's just a never-ending number go up thing, and it can be pretty personal if you want. You don't need to make it like a competition. That's why I like clogging, because I love this game a lot. Yes, do I get a little toasted occasionally? But I can come back when I'm really motivated and have this fucking number that's stayed constant, and I can just go get some more collection logs, you know? I used to hang out with this girl in college, and her breath stank. That's when I started really realizing the importance of, you know, keeping yourself clean and presentable and stuff. Like, I don't think there's anything anything less attractive than a girl with bad breath. There probably is a lot of other things that are less attractive than that, but, like, that is bad. When you're talking to a girl and you're on the couch together and all you can do is just focus on avoiding your nose with her mouth, like, at all cost, it's a pretty fucking violent scene, like, in the inside. Like, it's like you're not there anymore, you know what I mean? You're not in the moment anymore. You are thinking how disgusting this person's mouth is. And it's bad. But I think they've done all this in a really healthy way. The biggest fucking positive change from all this, besides, you know, the stuff we've been talking about, is left-click pickpocketing. Thank fuck. I want to make a ramble just specifically on that because of how stupid it was that for years and years and years, they just thought it was against the rules to be able to left-click a fucking NPC to pickpocket. Where is left-click pickpocket useful? Vyres and elves. The only two things I will ever thieve anymore. The most useful NPCs to thieve that's been a right-click, left-click, right-click, left-click, right-click. Like, Jesus, man. Finally. I feel like the only reason it came so early is because they were pressed on time for... I think part of the reason they're trying to get rid of these cheat clients so abruptly all of a sudden is because Raids 3 is coming out and they don't want cheat clients to undermine the difficulty of Raids 3. If you weren't a streamer, you could pretty much just go on a cheat client and left-click pickpocket. In fact, a lot of people in my own stream and a lot of people have fully admitted to me, yeah, when I'm pickpocketing, I go on a different client because I can left-click and it's undetectable. So when people would show me their log, like, people would, I'm not going to name names, of course, even though it doesn't really matter because clearly Jagex says, oh, everyone can use cheat clients for the next fucking week. Go for it. But afterward, we're going to ban you. So it doesn't really matter right now. But when people would show me a log of like 20,000 elves they thieved, I'm like, how the fuck do you have the mental capacity to thieve 20,000 elves when you have to right-click them? Or when you have to set up your fucking client in a way where you're just barely that little sliver of spam left clicking. And they're like, Kappa, you know, like it's the open, it's like just outright cheating. I don't find it cheating, but it was against the rules to do that. But, oh, that makes a lot more sense now that you were able to thieve 20 fucking thousand of them, because it's actually easy as hell when you just left click. And now I get that, so I'm happy. Cheating is subjective where it comes to, like, in-game rules, you know what I mean? Like, you could just change it and all of a sudden it's good. Left click pickpocketing should have always been a thing. So the fact that it was considered cheating for so long is really dumb, although I'm still going to follow the rules, because when you get your account taken from you, you start to understand how little power you have when your account's banned. You're just a little... You're like a little puppet. You don't have any actual power over your accounts. Cheating sounds great and all until your account's stripped from you and you have zero power to get it back because it's not your account. It's like, oh shit, this sucks. The worst breath I ever smelled. I know nobody asked about this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There used to be this place called Game Crazy. It was a budget Game Crazy. It was one in Oregon, and just a bunch of random used games that you just go there and buy. PS1 games, PS2 games, Game Boy Advance games, Xbox, original Xbox games. And the dude who was the cashier just sit behind the fucking table. Probably a 45-year-old dude. Doesn't look like he ever, really took care of himself that much. And kind of gross-looking, greasy hair. And his breath smelled like sewage. I mean, we're talking like dead bodies mixed with sewage, mixed with fucking... I don't even know, just shit sauce. Like, his breath smelled so bad, and we'd be standing 5 feet away from each other, and you could smell that shit from 30 feet away. You could smell his breath if he was talking to you. It would just like funneled outward to everything, and that is scarred in my head. I mean, the last time I went there was probably when I was 9 years old, and I still vividly remember how fucking putrid this shit smelled. Coolest part about this game, seriously, well, there's a lot of cool parts about old school RuneScape, but one of the really cool parts is that you can't pay to win. And most of the time, like, I don't know, there's a lot of integrity to this game. And when you start removing that sense of integrity, it's like, I know it's just a game at the end of the day, and people would maybe think that's silly to think that a game needs integrity, but I don't know, I think this game has a lot of integrity to it, more than most games do. And I think that's something valuable that we should kind of keep around, not be so light on it. That's always the argument that it comes back to. You don't have to go to the wilderness. Like, that's the argument that we've heard for 9 years. And the wilderness has continued to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So maybe we should, like, change that ideology of, like, maybe make a game that's fun. So PKers that love to PK don't have to really do as much skilling in PvM. They can focus on PvP. And people that want nothing to do with PvP can enjoy their game that they want to enjoy without dealing with that shit, you know? I think that's good for everybody. Yeah. It was always your 45-year-old male science teachers that just had the worst fucking coffee breath of all time. But for some reason, this sounds really disgusting, so I apologize if this makes you feel sick. But there was something there's something nostalgic about that. I think it's because my first grade teacher I loved to death. And my first grade teacher had that coffee breath. But I didn't really know what it was because I was like 5. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, that was just a part of that's my first grade teacher. They have this weird smell, and it was coffee breath. But I didn't realize it at the time. But there was something somewhat comforting about that, which sounds weird. You know what I mean? Like, where you take very young childhood experiences and then, like, whatever your childhood feeling was, that's like a good feeling. Like, I liked being around my first grade teacher. They were a cool person, you know? And So that kind of coffee breath is somewhat gross as fuck, but I kind of liked it, actually. Like, it's weird, but I kind of didn't mind the fact that my teachers would have that because it just reminded me of my first grade teacher. And I was like, oh, this is that. It's like your grandparents' home. You know, when you go to your grandparents' home and their house clearly smells like old people, and which is generally a bad thing, but you kind of have that nostalgia for it. And you're like, oh, that's a good smell, kind of. I made my first ever mill back in like 2004, 2005-ish by making 500 red berry pies manually. I made 500 red berry pies and I sold them for like 2.2K each. Yeah, red berry pies back then were so expensive. And I had a buyer. There was a guy that was buying red berry pie. I remember going to Varrock. I was 9 years old or 10 years old. Went to Varrock Bank and some guy was saying, buying red berry pies, 2-point-something-K each. Anyway, I made 500 red berry pies in like 2 full days because I was a fucking dumbass. But, yeah, I made over $1 million. You got to keep in mind, this was back in the good old days. I made all my pies through, I just remember I was so newbie. And I would just walk back and forth from Falador, East Bank, down to Remington to use the range there and to go to what's the guy's name? Is it Wayne or is it Wayne? Wayne's Food Shop? Who's that dude's name? The dude in Remington or Port Sarum. And I would go back and forth between there making pies, and I wasn't even doing it like super efficiently by any means. It was just like whatever had to be done. And I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I was loving my life. And that was back when keep in mind, this is back when you had to wait like 30 seconds to hop worlds. So I'd hop worlds at Wayne's or whatever that dude's name was. I'd hop worlds and like, you know how you had to type in all your information again, wait for the thing. And I remember I was so autistic, I guess, that I would just, I would play little games with myself as I'm waiting for the 30-second load timer to end, you know, where it would say, like, your account has only just logged out. Please wait 30 seconds, and it would just count down. And so I'd play these little imagination games in my brain. I can't even explain them to you. I know what I'm talking about, but it's impossible to word the weird fucking games I'd play in my head while I'm sitting there looking for 30 seconds at this fucking dude. It's like, do you guys walk on the side? Do you guys ever go outside? I'll ask that first. If you go outside and you've ever walked on a sidewalk, there's these cracks on the sidewalk. As a kid, I'd do the same shit where, like, if I was walking to school, I would play these stupid mental games with myself on, like avoiding touching the lines or touching the lines, like opposite games, you know. I'd just play these stupid games with my head, and that was one of the games I played. I don't know why I brought that up. It's such a stupid thing, but it's very nostalgic to me to think back then. Do you guys remember in middle school, if you went to middle school in America, you probably experienced these fundraisers where these like college age kids would come to your school and fucking hype you up for this fundraiser, and the rewards were like cash grab. There's a bunch of dollar bills flying in this air thing, and you fucking grab as much cash as you can in 30 seconds, and like a limo ride and a fucking we just same ticked a double hard glue and a bunch of other shit. Jesus, look at that stack.